Now let's get going. Now, kids, it's time for the Anecdote Jukebox. Joe, what do you have for us this week?
Well, Johnny, this week it's a little bit New Jersey centric. I'm originally from New Jersey, and Maidenform Brands comes from Bayonne, New Jersey. They started back in 1922, and when I was a youngster, they had a very ran for more than a decade, a magazine campaign. We don't have magazines much anymore, but this is the grand old days of graphic design and colorful layouts in magazines, and they had a wonderful pitch. It was, I dreamed I was in my Maidenform bra. And then it was just variations on that theme. You'll see that all in a moment. The music I want to point out is also a wonderful tune recorded in Memphis in 1979. Ricky Nelson of Ozzie and Harriet fame. It's a cover of Dream Lover. A little fact I didn't know about that song: Dream Lover was originally written by Bobby Darin. And now, Herb, if you will take it away.
Put your goggles on. Today's guest is Kita Wangari, who created a website called vintageviewers.com. Don't go there now. Finish this. I urge you to explore her website after the show. I'm amazed at how comprehensive it is, and we owe a debt of gratitude for that work of passion. Great resource. I had no idea, even been in this as long as I've been, I had no idea of the variety of viewers. Now she has us look at the viewer. There are views too, but she looks at the viewer rather than through it to reveal the art and the beauty behind the technology. Talk about disruptive. There's enough disruptive going on, eh? But this just adds to that. This is the beautifully disruptive. This is a beautiful disruptive site. Welcome, Keita. See if you can. Now, what we're going to do first is I'm going to let her talk because you've had enough of me anyway. So she'll explain some of the stuff on the website, which you should go to in your spare time. And I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy it.
I don't have too many slides. I didn't want to just like, do a whole drill of slides. I just wanted to save time for a discussion, but I did put a few together just to maybe step through a little bit of background, not too much. But yeah, just opening with one of my favorite viewers. So as was already mentioned, I'm really about the design of viewers. And I will say that, oh yeah, me again, Keita Wangari. That's my Instagram handle and my website. So how I got started, I found this 1933 World's Fair TrueView in a thrift shop. Didn't know anything about stereoscopes before. This was 2017. I had a Viewmaster when I was a kid, but honestly, I don't even know if I realized that it was 3D. So I found this, got it home, and did a little research and came across Tom Martin's website, and that it all started there. I went through every single thing that he had on his website about TrueView and other film viewers, and I said, I am just going to collect all the TrueView viewers, and then here I am today. So what really fascinates me is really taking a look at just functionality, usability, affordability, appearances, how all of these things changed in stereoscope design over the 150 or so years that they've been around. And I did not know that there was anything before Viewmaster. And so when I found TrueView, I was like, mind blown. And then obviously before TrueView as well. So now I have hundreds of viewers. And my TrueView collection is the biggest sub collection that I have. But I don't post it. I rarely talk about it because it's so massive that I just haven't had time to really photograph everything. So I'm just going to share a few of the sub collections that I do have. So film strip viewers, because it started with TrueView, I just tried to find like all of the ones, and then I came across ones, that I hadn't even heard about from any website. So that's just a little view of my film strip viewers. And I got fascinated with these lithograph tin stereoscopes from NPG. They're from around 1900, and lithograph tin was like kind of a big deal then, and they were so good for advertising. So at first NPG, and they published stereo views as well, but they first just had their own Imperial brand. So you'll see those are a little bit easier to find. But then they started selling them to companies to advertise. And so I just got fascinated with collecting those. So I've got about 48 of them, and I just think they're beautiful. They use the small, they used to call them stereolets, but they're like the 3 centimeter by 7 centimeter stereo views.
Are there glass in those? Any of those?
The lens,
Or are they all plastic? Yeah, the lenses are they all plastic, or is there any?
those are glass.
Thank
Yes. So this collection, sub-collection, stereo photo, Pentaplast, I have about 34 of these. What's really special about these to me, they're all from Germany. They contain a single roll of film with some kind of factory being portrayed. So my most valuable ones are the ones of the Mercedes-Benz, and you can see all of these on my website, but Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, I happen to have gotten those from another collector, so I consider them super, super valuable. But anytime I come across one of these, I try to add it to my collection. There's so much history in them. They're from around the 30s, some of them, and then another style came out around in the 50s. Lots of history like wrapped up in these little guys here. And then I've got the sub collection of in Duper and in Duper style. And I say style because you'll see there's a blue one in the middle. That one's actually a picture scope. So Stereo and Duper, they later were also known as Camera Scope, but they were, the company was started by Alfred Cloth and Carl, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Neithold, which you'll see a little bit more about in the views later. But they started they had the whole line of their cameras in Duper camera line, but they also had these metal viewers. And so I like collecting the branded ones. So this was also another advertising medium. Some of them, as you can see here, are branded. In fact, the Maidenform kind of show earlier reminded me there's a Spirella version of this that has the Spirella factory and all of the lingerie with the women modeling it in 3D. So there are luxury versions of these, there are plain versions of these, but again, the ones that interest me most are the ones that are advertising some kind of factory or some kind of company. And then speaking of advertising, Stereo Card, one of my favorite 3D advertising viewers, cardboard. I love cardboard viewers. Again, just looking at the materials that stereo viewers have been made of, starting from, way back with wood, and then metal, bakelite, plastic, paper, just anything that you can make a viewer out of. It seems like someone has tried to make a stereo viewer out of it. Now obviously the quality is not always that great, but for something like this, I mean, these were throwaway. These were for advertising, and what a perfect medium just to be able to plaster the front and back with all kinds of things. And so anytime I come across one of these, I try to add it to my collection. So I've got about 20 of them. But the one that you see, the large one there, I was so excited because that is the holy grail to me. That is the actual sampler from the company. So I came across one in perfect condition, and this is what they would use to go around to the companies to actually get them to.
Where's that company located? Where was it located?
They were in Fort Pierce, Florida.
Florida, out of Florida. Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess they probably made that Marineland one because that kind of makes some sense. There was a Marineland. I saw that.
Oh, there's a Marineland here too in California.
Yeah, I saw it. That's why I was.
Okay, yes.
The connection is there. Thank you.
Okay, so getting into just some of the rare viewers that I have, and mixed in are my favorites. I didn't want to do a separate section on rare viewers and favorite viewers because, again, I didn't want this to be too long. But in terms of rare viewers, so this is one where I actually came across those rolls of film first. And they're in these little mailer boxes. They're from 1900, and they're sort of like, I believe they were like mailed out as some kind of magazine because they are about current events. So there may be 20 views on the roll and all just different things that were happening. And there was a January, a February, a March. I've got about 6 of them. Had no idea what viewer they went to. And then didn't even realize I actually had the viewer in my collection, and somebody on Facebook posted something that made me make the connection between the two, because I had this viewer that I had no idea what went in it, and it turns out I had both pieces. So that is it. I don't know about how rare the viewer is, but I do know that those rolls of film are pretty rare. So again, love the lithograph tin, but this is one that was a tea canister that someone put a stereoscope in the lid of it. And it's just like, okay, how creative are we getting here with sipping your tea and like viewing these little stereo views. So just the creativity is just for me off the charts here. Now, there is a Mickey Mouse stereo viewer. I have never seen a Mickey Mouse film strip stereo viewer. Now, I did come across someone who had said he'd seen the film strips. I'd never seen the film strips, but I'd never seen the viewer either. And so this is out of England from, I think maybe around the 1950s. I don't know, but I had like a Disney expert like kind of date the Mickey Mouse on the box. So I don't know if anyone else knows anything about it, but would love to know more about this one. But I love that Mickey Mouse is sort of in relief there on on the viewer. One of my early film strip viewers, and so Homeos was like if I'm pronouncing that correctly, this was an accessory to the Homeos camera, and Homeos camera was supposedly or rumored to be like the first 35mm camera. But what I love about this particular one, I have different styles in this, is I've never seen one with the canisters on the side, the design of the viewer, the canisters on the side to hold the film as it goes through, and then the handle that actually allows you to advance the film. So just was really creative with this one. The other ones that I have are not designed this way. The Stereo Max. One of my favorites, Viewmaster later did a horizontal viewer, but this is earlier, this Italian viewer, really rare. I've got the box for it, which makes me like super excited to have that. But yes, the reel goes in horizontally. There are the mirrors inside that allow you to see the 3D. And the nice thing about this horizontal is that the light comes in from the top, so you don't have to, with the Viewmaster, be tilting yourself up. Just a favorite of mine because it's so pretty. I love the style of this. Something a little bit unique about it is the little 4 hooks that attach to the stereo views. I've never seen that design. I've seen all kinds of ways to attach a stereo view to the viewer, but I'd never seen this kind of like hook style. So love that. And had never seen a stereo viewer from Israel, and everything on it is in Hebrew. Love this. I've only come across one other one. I know of someone that has one because the seller had 2 and sold the other one to someone else. So somebody out there has one. And then I recently came across another one and picked it up and actually passed it on to a collector friend. I don't need 2 in my collection, and I love for my collector friends to have cool things too. And then there's this Sculptoscope, which, there are these, this is not super rare, a Sculptoscope, but this is not a coin operated one. It does not have the coin container. It does not have the trigger handle. The coin slot is closed, and in Paul Wing's book, I'm sure most of you are familiar with his book, it was only rumored that a non-coin operated Sculptoscope existed. So I don't know. Here's one. I don't know if there are any others, but getting to the end here. But I love these sort of transposing viewers that have the mirrors inside. Some of these are for negatives, for autochromes. And last 2 slides before we sort of get into some views that I have. I'm a stereo viewer person. I'm not a stereo photographer. I don't know that much about 3D. I haven't been collecting for that long. But I get things in with my viewers. And so, a while back, it was rumored that there was this first Marilyn Monroe nude with the model scope, and I happen to have that slide, but I also have it in a different format. I came across it in a box, same view, but just separated out by itself. And I have a few of these, but that was just, an interesting view in my collection. And this came with a Helioplast viewer from Germany that the seller said, well, we think that that's a stereo view of a young Max Schmeling, the boxer. So that's a picture of him I found on the internet on the right there, and I was like, yeah, could be him. Looks like him. So cool view that I have in my collection. So I'll pause there. That's actually my last slide, and I just feel like in addition to all of the viewers that I have so much history in the stereo views that I have that I don't know, I feel like I could spend another lifetime just kind of deep diving into those.
Which gets me to you. Okay, so before we go on to those great slides, we were all doing things in 2019 that we thought we would finish soon. And then things happened, and then the world ended, and we're back. But okay, so what were you let me get this straight, because I know we said this 10 times, but it still hasn't sunk in. So
Yeah.
this was a pandemic project. What did you know about 3D before this?
Well, nothing before I found that TrueView
You
viewer.
said that. Okay, I
Yeah,
told
and
you it
that was in 2017, and so I started picking up viewers. One other thing that fascinated me was this connection between, so when Google and Viewmaster kind of paired up to, um, I'm blanking on the name of their virtual, their virtual deal.
Yeah, you got you.
Um, so what fascinated me though was it was Google Cardboard. So you have the cardboard and you put your phone inside. Well, I had this cardboard Pixie viewer, and I was like, you know what? This is not the first 3D cardboard. And so, but it was the same concept of cardboard that you're putting some kind of media in, and like fast forward, now it's a phone that you're putting in, but it's still you're viewing, you're trying to do this immersive viewing. It's like ever since we discovered we could do it, we've been trying to do it in all kinds of ways. And so that kind of was fascinating to me. But so I had all these viewers, and when the pandemic hit and we're all at home, I thought, nobody gets to see these. Of course, nobody in my family cares about my viewers. So I, I thought, I'm going to put these online. So if there's anybody else out there that likes stuff like this, they can see them. And I know how hard it was for me to find, luckily Tom Martin did his website. A couple of other people had, but it's like hard to find information on viewers. So I thought I would just start posting stuff. So the pandemic is when I started the website, not the collecting. I'd been collecting for about 3 years before that.
Did you collect anything else before this? I mean, what?
Not to this extent. No. I don't know what happened.
I listen. I have a barn, a storage space, an attic, and I can't move. And a two-car garage. But yeah, I know about collecting. I know what happens when you get bit by the bug. You're done. You were an excellent communicator. Are you a teacher or something? What do you do? I said, what's my line? What's my 3D line?
I am a researcher, so that helps. Haven't always been a researcher. I've had a few different careers. Started off as like in engineering, and then I went into web design. So that helped for putting together a website. But that was back when websites started. I was doing that for a bit, and then I went into doing product research. So worked at Google for about 8 years as a product researcher, and left there just a few years ago. And I'm doing product research now, but actually about to leave that career to do something else. So founding a startup. So
It doesn't surprise me in the slightest bit. When you were in high school, so what career choice did you think you were going to have, or what were you after at that point?
oh my gosh, high school. Probably a veterinarian, I thought, because I just love animals. But then I realized, or a psychologist or psychiatrist. But then I decided I wanted to deal with things and not anything that I had to get emotional about. So I went into engineering, which I ended up not liking, by the way. I went too far in too far in the non-creative direction.
you learned as much as you needed to learn about engineering, because the engineering comes through in all your art here, all the stuff you did. So you didn't
Oh,
need any more than that, man. But it's good you have those engineering chops, because it helped you realize the artistry and the design. I'm putting my thoughts in your mouth, words in your mouth, but really, that becomes, it's clear to me.
well,
That's incredible.
I wish that I had artistic talent, and I do not. I can't sing. I mean, maybe I dance a little bit. I can't paint. My son's an amazing illustrator, but all of that kind of passed me by, and so it is a creative outlet for me.
Oh my God. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Even the way you designed your presentation was incredible. I can't imagine. I I bet there's a lot of people like to hang out in your house. I'm just going to bet on it. If I was nearby, I'd be there with a bottle of wine all the time. My wife would come over because you are you're
Ish.
the
I wish I had more collector friends that live nearby. They're all over. I am so happy that I have met the collector friends that I have, because yeah, I'm so new to this. I mean, I am super new, and I got a lot of stuff really quickly, and it took me time to go back. I do spend a lot of time researching. I know it's funny, I joined this forum and just fairly recently, and I saw that they'd actually been talking about me. They didn't know me, they knew my website. And they just thought that I was like some wealthy, rich person that just has somebody that goes out and buys all these things for me. And it's just me, and I love doing it, and I do research everything. I stay up at night, I'm going through newspapers. I know so much about TrueView, so much about TrueView and some of these other viewers, and I love making connections between different companies. And so I love all that, and I just don't have enough people who live nearby who love that stuff. But oh my gosh, the people that I've learned from: David Starkman, Susan Pinsky, Gary Deneen, just David Koontz, just so many people who have been doing it so much longer than me. Um, yeah. Andrew, I thought I saw Andrew join this
well.
call.
I'm sure you'll get a lot more connections out of this, but that's really interesting. So now, what in terms of the views? I wouldn't. We're going to show some in a few minutes, but what is your favorite thing about views? Not so much a view that you like most, but what's the thing that engages you most about stereo views? I'll give you some choices. History? Is it the subjects? Is it what is it?
Well, my favorite subject is industry. So I love
Mm,
seeing factories and just people at work, and just this glimpse into what life was like inside of companies back then. One of the things that fascinates me, so I'll just say, is at least with mid-century stereo views, is how few Black people there are in stereo views. And so that was something that I thought, oh, you know what, I'll start, at least in everyday life kind of things. And so it's almost like, where are we during this time? And so that was something that kind of fascinated me a little bit, and so I have been collecting some of those. And um yeah, I think it's just what we choose to photograph and see in 3D.
I'm on the same path as you. I I cannot believe, like in late 1800s, when people were getting portraits done in 3D, that there weren't black photographers doing it. Like, yeah, it's impossible. It's not. They got so. I myself look around and say, I'm not a researcher like you. You got chops. If they, this is what I know, and I'm sure everybody's going to agree who's watching. If there was one, you're going to find them, because it astounds me. There has to have been, man, of families that you do well. Anyway, you got my point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you know, that is the thing. And nowadays, when you have depth maps and you have ways to create a three-dimensional image, which are fair, there's nothing technically wrong with the technology, right? Because it's just doing it differently. But I will say this, right? That when you brought a stereo camera to an event, whoever you were shooting responded to that. because they knew it was special. See, right now you take a picture, turn 3D. It's cool. Again, I'm not knocking it. But that created a certain element between the photographer and the people being photographed in 3D. Anyway, you're not interviewing me. I'm supposed to be interviewing you. But I am floored by all that. Again, you didn't see the engineer comes out. I'm glad you did it. Look, I'm not sure you're glad you took engineer, but I'm glad you did. because it bubbles up.
I appreciate the few years that I did it. I was more in aviation for maybe like 4 years as a career, and then moved on into computers. So yeah.
Well, I want to go into these images, but so now what do you do? What do you do? Well, how do you find these images? Connections. Do you go to estate sales, or how do you do that?
So I typically don't buy stereo views, although one of the sets that you're going to show, I did. I just bought the views. And as I was showing those rolls of film, sometimes I'll see views and there's something special about them that I think I'm going to get these because I may find a viewer later associated with them, or they're connected somehow to something. So I will occasionally buy stereo views. The viewers, I gotta say, a lot of eBay. So I could probably count on one hand the number I've actually bought in person. So it's a bit of a gamble. Like almost everything that I've gotten through the mail somehow. Like having not seen it until I actually have it in my hands.
That's kind of fun too, right? The package comes. What do I got?
It is. Oh, it's so exciting. It's so exciting, that anticipation. And definitely been some disappointments. I mean, the collectors here, I'm sure know. We could, do collecting horror stories all day.
It's not all about artists, Keita. It's about where would artists be if there weren't people who appreciated art, right?
Yeah.
They'd be, instead of painting the Mona Lisa, they'd be painting somebody's house. You know what I mean? They wouldn't be doing the Sistine Chapel. They'd put another coat of white on the ceiling. No, because that's what it's about. And your love of it, which fascinates me, because you said you don't shoot 3D, right?
No, I do have some 3D cameras. I have been asked, why don't you post your viewers on your website in 3D? And I'm just like, oh my God, like if I had to learn one more thing, I spend so much time. And I thought, you know what, I'll pick it up. No, you don't want me taking 3D pictures. I did get the Loom pad. So I have taken some. I've gone to my family picnics because I thought, I'm talking about there are no Black people in stereo view. I should be I should be doing that so that like 50 years from now, somebody else is not saying that.
That's great, man. That's great. That's absolutely great. But you're one of those great examples of people who just understand their limitations. And yours, I do not have what it took. I could shoot some 3D. I'm okay with it. But what you've done and what you've assembled, few people have that talent. Let's put it this way: fewer people have the talent that you had, and the curiosity of it, then have 3D cameras. And I can say that without a shot. But no doubt, 100%. And then you have what a gift you are. What a gift you are, man. Yeah. Frederick Douglass I got a book, he was the most, other than the royalty, he was the most photographed guy. That's what it says in the book. You got to watch out of the 1800s, the 19th century. He was the most photographed. So tell me that somebody, you know what I mean? It's like Jimi Hendrix. Nobody took a 3D picture of Jimi Hendrix. Not to say it's because he's Black, but you're telling me that nobody would have taken a picture of Frederick Douglass, or he wouldn't have influenced somebody by seeing photo. It's got to be. You keep digging it through it, man. I'm. There's got to be a guy, or a lady, or somebody,
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get on to these photographs. Oh, this is just wonderful. It makes me want to sing, like, unfortunately I don't have the voice. Hey, Dorothy, could you sing some Maurice Chevalier for us? Thank heavens, you can't. It wouldn't work with that. Thank heavens for little girls, no matter where, no matter who. Without them, what would little boys do? This is so great. Imagine their grandmothers or their great grandmothers at this, right? Now, again, well, I'm going to keep moving along, but what drew you to these images?
That they are children and they're playing, but they are very posed. So is this, I was just curious about what was going on here. Is this a school? Is this, some kind of theater production? Like, what's the backstory on this? And it was just a set of, I think, maybe 16, and they fit into the Induper stereo viewer. So the camera scope, they fit perfectly into that. So, I thought there's nothing printed on the backs, and I thought maybe I'll come across, some viewer connected to them, or if not, just the fact that they are just really cool. I like them.
Sometimes really cool does it. I'm with you. Now, this set came with. I just want to go over that a bit. Did you see these views before you bought them, or were they a part of a? How did they come into your possession again?
They just were just like that. They were sitting on eBay, and they were just a set of stereo views for sale. Nothing, no information, no viewer, no packaging.
A smart research person. So now could you figure out when, like, do you have a circa kind of idea, when you think these might have been taken? Do you have any feeling for
I
that?
think around the 1920s, because they fit into the Induper like perfectly. So that format, that the format of the photo, the size of the photo is very similar to all of the, I don't know how many Induper sets I have. And then the clothing, I kind of researched 20s clothing and the hairstyles, and it fits about around that time period.
And when was when was that camera made? Or
That was the 1920s.
That was also the 20s. Okay. And
Yes.
what country? From who? Who made it,
That was Germany.
Germany. And you say you're thinking the 20s, these, right, man?
Yes.
What do these kids see in another 20 years? Very interesting things happen in 10 years from this, no? 10 years after that was World War II.
Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely see the impact of events through looking at some of the stereo viewers. So the stereo photo Pindoplast viewers that I was showing, when you look through some of the early ones in the factories, there are pictures of, Hitler on the wall. There's, just this photograph in the background. And then later you don't see that. And then the ones that were made around that time, you start to see like they were made of metal, and then there were some that start to be same viewer but made of cardboard, which was like odd. So I knew there were, just like, with Viewmaster and TrueView, just world events impacting both the views and the viewers.
Now this
Oh,
was
that's good.
yeah, this is great. Now this was done with the same thing. You just got these. This wasn't part of that same group of pictures you got, right?
No. So here's the deal with these. And so when I was mentioning Carl Neithold, so he along with Alfred Croth, Alfred Croth was like an award-winning photographer. They founded the Induper line of cameras and stereo viewers. But then Carl Neithold also founded, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, CENEI, so CENEI. So they had cameras and camera accessories and viewers. And these views came in a box, and I have a box of 145 in a box like this. And they came with a kind of crude, kind of two Sinai mono viewers kind of put together to form a stereo viewer. I feel like I came across the personal photographs of Carl Neithold himself, only
Wow.
because there's a caption on one of them that says, so on the back, they're very neatly captioned and dated. These are travels throughout 1931. Some are in January, some are in March, May, June, August, and none of them have names. Well, there's a Mr. Schrod that's in a couple of them. The only other ones is someone named Carl, and the caption says, Carl is also photographed. And the way that that is phrased made me think Carl is usually the one taking the photo and not the one necessarily being photographed. So I don't know, maybe, who knows? If I could find a picture of him, that would help. So if anyone knows what Carl Neithold looked like, I do know when he was born and when he died. He died when he was about 60 years old. And in the picture that I have, he would have been about 53. And he looks a little younger than that, so I'm not sure, but one can hope.
Yeah, well, not the word's out. And so this is Germany, right? We're thinking, or we don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I have the captions. I have a blog post with several of the photos that you're seeing, and the captions are different places around.
Great. Well, they could, if people want to see it. I'm sure people are going to go to your website at this point. I'm going to go. So I don't care if they do. I'm sure people will.
So this is just a new thing that I've started doing. So this is only the photos that you're seeing are only my second edition of something called the Stereo View Spotlight, because I thought, I should start posting some of these really cool stereo views that are in my collection.
Well, we gave you a start. Jim did a bunch of these and got them all straight for you. So you even have them as anaglyph, and you're welcome to them, of course, as Jim has just
So
generously
much,
said.
because I'm super amateur at doing anything with stereo views. So originally I just took pictures of them and put them on my site, and then I bought a scanner and just scanned them, and then I reposted them. But yeah, there's like no way I'm probably ever going to be able to do everything that you've done here. So
I'll speak on this on behalf of Jim. I know he would say you're extraordinarily welcome. It was a delight. That's insane.
have fun.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Particularly since this has got to be 100 years ago. It's delightful to be able to peek right into that world.
Mm-hmm.
And a simpler life, other than the two world wars. A simpler life.
Yeah.
Other than two world wars and a depression, it's really just nothing. But people just are people. Just like that lovely picture of Jerry and his wife there. People are people. No matter what the world does, people are people, man. You find your joy.
I haven't been able to look closely enough through them all to see, are these all the same people, the same group throughout the year? I don't know their relation to each other. It'd be great to know all of that.
I guess that's a woman to the left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, if they had one of those little comic book bubbles over her head, like, I wish this guy would take up like fishing. I've had it up in the mountains. They're all wonderful, but something like that. We can stamp collecting. That would be good, maybe. Big thanks to this week's guest, Keita Wangari, who will be available during the after party, as we just said, to answer your questions Thanks to our amazing crew for making this all possible. Stereo Doro, Jay Kuznets, Jim Harp, Joe Podoto, Paul Hutchins, Herb Weiner, and thank you for stopping by to see what you've been missing in 3D. You can roll that. See you after the party.